Hello, and welcome to the House Design Story. Today, I want to take you on a long journey, one that begins with a very simple idea. If you had 100 square meters of floor space, how could you possibly turn it into a full, comfortable, and modern home? At first, that number doesn't sound like much. It's not a mansion, not a villa with endless rooms, not the kind of house that shows up on glossy magazines. But if you design it with care, with imagination, and with love, 100 square meters can become more than enough. This is the story of Daniel and Emma, a young couple in their early 30s, who dreamed of building a home of their own. For years, they had lived in a rented apartment in the city, small and crowded, with thin walls and no space to breathe. They dreamed of something different, space for light, air, and laughter. A kitchen where they could cook together. Bedrooms where they could rest without hearing the neighbors through the wall. A living room where friends could gather. When they finally bought a modest piece of land just outside town, they knew they had a chance to build something meaningful. But they also knew the limit. Their house could only be 100 square meters. No more. The first sketches were nothing more than lines on paper, drawn late at night at the kitchen table. Daniel wanted an open living room where friends could come and stay, where music and conversation would flow. Emma wanted a kitchen that was not hidden away but part of the heart of the house. It's open and bright, a place where cooking and talking could happen together. They both agreed on at least 2 bedrooms, one for them, one for the future, whether for children, guests, or family. And of course, bathrooms, a small office, and somewhere to store the little things that always gather in a home. When they measured and divided the space, the challenge became clear. A living and dining area of 25 square meters, a kitchen of 15, 2 bedrooms taking 30 together, 10 square meters for bathrooms, another 10 for a small flexible office, and the rest for storage, hallways, and circulation. On paper, it seemed possible. In reality, it would take careful planning. They quickly discovered that the secret to making 100 square meters feel larger was not just in the walls, but in the air and light that moved through them. They designed large windows facing east and south so that sunlight would fill the living room in the morning and again in the afternoon, instead of thick walls dividing every room. They chose sliding doors and glass partitions, so spaces could open wide when needed. Cross-ventilation became their quiet hero. Windows placed opposite each other allowed breezes to flow naturally, cooling the house without machines. Emma smiled when she saw the first drawings. "It's just windows and air," she said. "But it feels like we doubled the size already." Style was another question. Daniel loved modern minimalism straight lines, neutral colors, a space that felt clear and uncluttered. Emma wanted warmth wood under her feet, soft lighting, plants that gave life to every corner. They blended their wishes into what their architect called a modern tropical style, white and gray walls. Wooden floors, open spaces, and green plants climbing toward the light. It was not only beautiful, but practical, cooling the house in summer, filling it with calm in every season. Then came the question of money. Their budget was not endless. They had about $80,000 for the entire construction. Enough, but not if they wasted it. So they made choices. They invested in the bones of the house. A strong foundation, quality insulation for the roof, reliable plumbing and wiring. For finishes, they chose wisely. Ceramic tiles instead of marble, engineered wood instead of expensive hardwood. Emma found secondhand doors at a demolition sale, old but full of character, which they repainted and gave new life. Daniel bought recycled bricks for the garden path, saving money while giving the house a unique touch. Every dollar they saved on the surface allowed them to spend a little more where it mattered, better appliances in the kitchen. A rainwater harvesting system for the garden, details that would last. The living room was the first space to come alive. 25 square meters. Not large, but tall ceilings and wide windows made it open and generous. They placed a simple sofa, a wall-mounted television, shelves for books and memories. The dining table stood nearby, close to the kitchen, so meals and conversations could flow without barriers. One evening, before the walls were even finished, they sat on the bare concrete floor with takeout food, surrounded by dust and tools, and Emma whispered, "It already feels like home." The kitchen, for Emma, was the true soul of the house. She wanted it open, connected, alive with movement. They built it with white cabinets along one wall, a stove and sink beneath the window, and a central island that served as preparation space, breakfast table, and gathering point. Warm wooden counters softened the brightness of the white, making the room both functional and inviting. Daniel wasn't a cook, but he loved to sit by the island with coffee in hand, watching Emma chop vegetables as they talked about their day. The bedrooms were retreats, personal worlds within the home. The master bedroom, 18 square meters, had only the essentials: a queen bed, a wardrobe, sliding glass doors that opened to a balcony lined with potted plants. At night, curtains softened the light of the city, creating a calm sanctuary. The second bedroom was smaller, 12 square meters, but flexible. For now, it was a guest room with a foldable bed and a small desk. In the future, it could be a child's room, or a creative studio, or even a library. Bathrooms can easily be neglected, but not here. Each was 5 square meters, compact but smart. One belonged to the master bedroom with a simple shower separated by glass. The other was for guests, near the living area. Light colors, mirrors, and good lighting gave them a sense of space. Small, yes, but never cramped. Daniel also insisted on a little office, only 10 square meters, but essential. A desk, a chair, shelves, and a wide window facing the garden. During the week, it was a quiet place for work. On weekends, it transformed. Sometimes a music corner where Daniel strummed his guitar. Sometimes a study space when their niece visited. Flexibility gave the room its magic. Of course, no journey like this is without its struggles. Material prices rose suddenly during construction, and fear of going over budget weighed on them. They solved it with adjustments. Simpler tiles. Delaying some furniture purchases, focusing on structure and essentials first. Rainstorms delayed work for weeks, turning the site into mud. Daniel grew impatient, worried that they would never finish. But Emma reminded him gently, a home is built slowly, with patience. Every delay is just part of the story. She was right. Months later, at last, the day came. The house was ready. The garden was bare. The office still lacked shelves, but the house was alive. They carried boxes inside, laughing as they tripped over each other. That night, they sat at their new dining table, surrounded by half-open cartons and the smell of fresh paint. Outside, wind rustled through the trees. Inside, their laughter echoed against new walls. Daniel looked around and asked, "Can you believe it?" Emma smiled, eyes glowing. "We built this. It's only 100 square meters, but it feels like the world." And so, what does their story teach us? 100 square meters is not a limit, but a canvas. With careful design, it can hold everything a family needs: living, dining, cooking, resting, working, and dreaming. Light and air can turn small spaces into spacious ones. A balanced budget, with investment in essentials and creativity in finishes, stretches further than you might imagine. Flexibility in rooms allows life to grow and change without needing more square meters. And above all, a house is not measured only in walls and space, but in the life it holds. So yes, you can build a full-function home on 100 square meters. Not a mansion, not a palace, but something far more important. A place that fits, that comforts, that grows with you. Thank you for joining me in today's house design story. I hope this journey has shown you that space does not need to be large to be meaningful. With imagination, care, and heart, even 100 square meters can become the dream you've always wanted. Until next time, remember, the best homes are not the biggest, but the ones filled with love.